incredible. And by the way, was it Kulak76 says he saw the Apollo 11 movie. The Apollo 11 movie is fantastic. It looks like it was shot on HD. It looks like they had GoPro, fives on the mission. So it was restored and digitally enhanced and all the rest of it. But Apollo 11 is a great movie. And I was watching the lunar landing scene from First Man, which I did not like at all. And I realized that it's actually an interesting exercise if you have the time. I put a link up there earlier for the, you could just Google moon landing out the window view, and you'll see, you'll watch the moon landing from a film camera on board the LEM. And you'll hear Armstrong and Aldrin, and you'll hear them talking to Mission Control. And then if you go back and watch the moon landing from First Man, you're going to find something really, really interesting. First of all, you're going to notice that in the movie, the LEM is it's that paint shaker thing. My understanding was that the lunar descent was glass smooth, and I would be surprised if it wasn't. There's really no turbulence or anything there. You just got a pretty smooth rocket, and you're going down on your way. So this whole kind of like the thing is cracking up, that was added for dramatic effect. I'll get back to that in a second. But most importantly, if you listen to the actors, because the actors are speaking the exact dialogue that actually came back down. And if you listen to them, you'll hear Buzz Aldrin say something like, drifting to the right a little, and you'll hear Mission Control say, 60 seconds! And if you listen to the actual transcript, what you hear is Buzz say, drifting to the right a little, and you'll hear Mission Control say, 60 seconds. And the point is that the filmmakers decided to crank up the drama and put more drama into the landing on the moon than a completely realistic recreation of the landing on the moon would be. And I'm enough of a storyteller to understand that that's, perhaps a necessary evil. But I think if somebody had been a little less lazy as a writer, what would have interested me, what I thought I was going to get, and I think is far more interesting, instead of this kind of neurotic Neil Armstrong who's just a bad, John Pershing got what I was saying. We had to put more drama into the moon landing. So instead of First Man movie, Neil Armstrong as a kind of a neurotic robot who misses his dead daughter, obsesses about his dead daughter, and is a terrible husband, a terrible father, and doesn't speak and doesn't have any feelings or anything. It's just kind of this cartoon, easy impression of Neil Armstrong, who's a very private man. And obviously the director and Ryan Gosling didn't go to the trouble to find out what that guy was just about. Because at no point in First Man does Ryan Gosling ever become Neil Armstrong. He looks worried, and I'm not saying Neil wasn't ever worried, but he looks grimly determined as these things are disintegrating. But that's not who Neil Armstrong was. And the second thing with the landing that was scaring the daylights out of everybody was that not only were they going to head into this field of boulders, but as they're descending, they are their computer breaks. As they're descending, their flight computer, which is showing them their altitude, distance, relative speeds, all of these things, as this thing is descending to the lunar surface, they get a warning. They get a code 1201 first, and then they get a code 1202 5 times, or once and 4 times, one or the other. And this is a computer error that they've never seen before, never seen it in simulations, never trained for it, had no idea that it was even possible. They're about to land on the moon, and they're counting on this computer for their motion and their position and altitude and all this other stuff. And the computer is just going 1202. It's just the blue screen of death, which even that doesn't mean anything to young people anymore. And if you really want to know what Neil Armstrong is made of, you listen to this landing. It's on the first link I put there. I'll try and put them both under the YouTube thing. But if you listen to the actual transcript, the actual mission audio, you'll hear Neil Armstrong as as panicked as Neil Armstrong ever gets, because there's one moment in there when you hear him say, "I want an update on the 1202, please." That's Neil Armstrong in full-on panic mode. You could tell there was just a little tiny bit of like command urgency, like I need to know why my computer's not working, because we're about to land on the frickin' moon, and that's it. That's all. So anyway, that movie was a great disappointment, but Apollo 11 is like, it's just like being there. It's absolutely amazing, and I mean to do those guys justice. I mean to do the whole space program justice, including the parts of. That's funny. It's just, it's amazing, and basically cover the entire space program and growing up in the space age and all that other stuff. So I should have some more information I can give you about it a little bit later. Okay, so I have not seen. Yeah, PDI was one. They had two. I'm checking to make sure that but I'm not seeing any signs of any trouble. So hopefully the people that were looking for a little medical care last time, they're doing a little better now. Yeah, the computer the computer had to be light enough to fly the mission, and so it had to emulate. Basically, I had to pretend it was a bigger computer and take these computing tasks and split them up among, I think it was 5 or 6 different like nodes it could process. And so the computer is basically working on one problem, and then in something like 100th of a second, not a crazy fast speed by electronics measures, a couple hundredths of a second, then it moved down to the next one and work on that for a while, and it moved down to the next one. And if the inputs were such that there were more inputs than the 6 cycles could handle, then the computer, for the first time ever, says, don't know what to do. And as it turns out, that computer was designed so that if there was this kind of error, an unexpected error or an overload error, the computer would reboot itself. And as it turned out, that computer rebooted itself thousands of times faster than a modern PC, because it has thousands and millions, probably, honest to God, billions or trillions of times less to do. It's just really doing some fundamental math. But so basically what happened is they get the 1201 and they'd reset it, and the computer's just working and working and working. And then they'd get a 1202, and then, they'd get another 1202 and get another 1202, and Mission Control saying, we got it, you're go. They'd never seen it before. They just know the computer's not working. And finally, before they landed, they figured out that what is causing the 1202 is when they're asking the computer for a projected touchdown point. Every time they ask for that information and put in that verb into this very, very simple computer program, it just locks up. So Aldrin figures it out that, okay, so it's crashing every time we ask for this information. So he says, Houston, we need you to update us on this particular information, because when we ask for it, it crashes the computer. But the thing was just constantly rebooted itself, and it remembered the information from before, and so it was basically it was built to fail safe. Fail safe is a wonderful term. It's an engineering term, and it means that if something breaks, it's supposed to break so that it breaks into safety and rather into catastrophe. So anyway, it was just fun reliving all of that stuff, and I learned a lot of details, and there's going to be lots and lots and lots of these details in this program. All right, so moving on. Let's see. Why don't we just go right straight to the questions? And this time, I'm going to. Somebody made a cold-hearted comment about if only TSL was fail-safe, says Steve Darrow. You frozen-hearted bastard. How you could say something about this show that means so much to so many people. The Stratosphere Lounge is not only not fail-safe, it's actually the engineering term for the Stratosphere Lounge is fail catastrophic. That's the engineering model that we use. We have a fail catastrophic engineering model. That means if something breaks, it breaks in such a way as it completely, totally ruins the show. All right, so let's see here. I'm gonna try something radical here. I'm gonna go to billwhittle.com, and I'm gonna take some questions from there, and I'll take a peek at Facebook as well. Although I don't know if Mr. Scott has had a chance to set up this thing, because I didn't do it. Oh, one other thing. We have had a lot of members. We have to open up a live. Hang on a minute. Hang on a minute. Is it under members? Hang on a second. You'd think I would know this. I'm checking the members blog here. I'm going to get this from Scott, who knows these things, and we'll get that figured. Members, okay. That's the members profile. Blog. All right. I apologize. I am going to have to get a little more training in this. I should know this, and I just don't. I should probably have set up that live stream for the website prior to the show, and I just didn't. So we'll go back to Facebook again, and sorry about that, members, and we'll get that error on this machine fixed. Yeah, the computers were real simple, and they had two different landing navigation measurement systems, and they would keep comparing them to each other as a primary and a backup, and when they agreed with each other, that was good. So anyway, all right, so let's see what we got here. We're looking for firewall topics, because I've been writing, and just crazy amount of writing. And at the same time, it's the most fun writing I've been doing for a long time. Really, really enjoying it. And in fact, I couldn't put it down. I was 15 minutes late because I just was in such a perfect place. I just wanted to get this out. So let's see what we got.